Hello, and welcome to The Alt Left.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to episode 55 of the Alt Left podcast. I am your host, Matthew Jumbo Johnson. With me, as always, is the good Reverend Dr. K.
Good evening, everyone.
And Kay and I decided to ditch that bastard Chris and go with somebody a little bit fresher, a little bit newer. And with us as a guest today is Austin from the Can't Afford a Therapist podcast. Austin, thank you for joining us.
No, thank you for having me, guys.
Appreciate it.
This has been so fun already.
Yeah.
It's just going to get worse from here, bro.
I'm ready. I'm strapped in.
We peaked before we hit record. That's as we tend to do here. But just for all of you who aren't aware, Chris is still caught up in the holiday mess that we basically had to take a break from for the last couple of weeks. He will be back soon. Actually, I think we're recording this ahead of time, so Chris will already be back by the time you guys hear this. Have been back. So anyway, fuck Chris. That's the point of this whole spiel. Hey man, he left us. I get to talk all the shit I want. That's the rule.
Absolutely.
So for today's topic, one of the reasons we brought Austin on is because he actually happens to be a comedian and he's a leftist. And it was actually his brilliant idea that we do a discussion about comedy on the left, or comedy from the political perspective of the left. And we've talked a great deal about Dave Chappelle. You know, we've talked about Joe Rogan a little bit here. I've made no secret of my distaste for him, but it's very hard to get away from politics in this day and age and comedy because it's so intertwined, especially now with this big movement. And this is where I want to start with your take, Austin, is this idea of that I think is a very libertarian / right-winger comedian take of, you can't say anything anymore, man. What's going on? You can't tell jokes. You can't go to school. There's this idea that a lot of centrist and right-wing comedians put out there that they are being stifled and their ability to create good comedy is under threat.
That they're being quote unquote canceled all the time. They feel like they are the most oppressed bunch of whiny bitches.
And now here's my take. I think that's absolute horseshit. I think that if you're going on a stage or going on a talk show to bitch about your inability to talk, you're kind of full of shit and need to shut the fuck up. And I think it's a lot of horseshit. I think that people are having to suffer consequences for making bad choices and jokes that are not funny, which they haven't had to do in the past. And because they're now getting consequences for that, they're bitching and moaning like a bunch of prepubescent assholes. But that's my take. Being a comedian, where do you stand on this?
You're right. It's not funny. Like, have you guys seen the Jim Brewer clip that came up recently?
No. Which clip is this?
He's like yelling, 1 mask, 2 masks, 3 masks. How many? Like, it's all this like bullshit, like anti-mask, anti-vax, like all crazy nonsense. I'm like, but it's not funny. And that's why they're not doing well. Like, you said Dave Chappelle, right? Dave Chappelle's got, I had spoke with this. So I'm an active member of a Socialist Alternative as well. And I had brought this up at a meeting. I'm like, Dave Chappelle
what are they called? Shout them out right now, man.
The Socialist Alternative is a New York branch.
All right, cool. Very good.
Yeah. It's, Kashana Sawant from Seattle. She's like the most prolific member.
Sweet.
She's just the city council member. Yeah, she just won recall.
Nice, cool. Nice. Yeah. I know who she is.
I got involved to get just a little bit more involved in like active politics, instead of just bitching and moaning on the internet.
Right on.
Because I've been doing that for a long time. No, so I was talking with them about like Dave Chappelle. I go, Dave Chappelle is correct. Not about trans women, trans men, not about the trans community. It's like, again, I'm cis hetero man. Like, this is not my place to say this, but when you start talking about his criticisms of the LGBT community, it's rich white gay men that have already found their place and have like, I've got mine, and they continue to go on. It's like a classic conservative move. I've got mine. Fuck you. Like, it's just a natural progression. And like, once I said that, they're like, oh shit. Like, yeah, like, that's who he's really talking about. His just frustrations are just taken out in the wrong place. And it's not funny, like, to be, I'm Team Turf, where a week later, Michael Shea had a special come out. He had trans jokes that were very funny, but because they were funny. It's not because he was shitting on people for their existence. It's because they were just funny jokes.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it. Go ahead, Kay.
I was going to say, you can joke about almost anything and be funny.
Yes.
And not be racist or prejudiced or sexist or
No.
or whatever. Being funny is not about it's not about putting out something that's offensive. It's all about juxtaposing an interesting thought. And when you do that, you create comedy. Otherwise, you're just being a racist asshole.
Yeah, I don't know what point comedy took that turn where it's just like, how edgy can I be without being funny? It's just like, what's the most fucked up thing I can say and get away with it? Like, most of the time, it's not going to be funny. Like, you got to put some nuance into like some of these jokes. Like, I don't believe in punching up, punching down. It's just a straight jab. You're going forward every joke. Like, I think anything's like on limits. Like, anything's able to be joke about if you make it funny. That's the only thing.
Well, and there's nuance to everything. And again, we're talking about ultimately, let me say this, I'm cognizant of the fact we're talking about something that is ultimately subjective.
100%.
However,
absolutely.
You are right though. Like Dave Chappelle, and I think that's one of the biggest gripes that people had, is he relegated the LGBTQ community to a bunch of, white gay dudes. Like that's really what he did. And people were getting pissed because it's like, you've so just completely ignored, the black trans community, the black gay community. There are so many more people that he's just discounting because he's got to piss off. And here's the thing, like you would actually find us in agreement. Like one of the things Chris, myself and Kate bitch about is all those women that would show up to the en masse to the protests against Trump. And, Chris said one of his favorite signs that he ever saw was a black lady with a BLM flag also holding up a sign saying, I'm going to see all you nice white ladies at the next BLM rally, right? Because there's this idea, it's as soon as it's time to actually, back up the ideals you profess to believe in and support other groups that are in the same, situation, they're forgotten about. And Dave Chappelle's doing the same thing. And what blows me away, it's like, I for the longest time, I was just like, how can you, as a part of a marginalized group, not feel solidarity? Not feel that solidarity. But it's like, there's also that element of privilege. Dave Chappelle is a black man, no doubt about it. He's never not going to be a black man, but he's now a rich, privileged black man. Oh, yeah. And I think there's that changes, that puts you at a level where it's like, there's a disconnect there, Yeah.
And the same could be said about Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
and a lot of comedians that have taken this podcasting turn too. You've seen. All right, I'm like a no-name open mic comedian, so hopefully this doesn't come bite me in the ass. But Tim Dillon is one of the most. I saw it coming from a mile away years ago, and I'm like, this guy's gonna turn eventually because he's from Long Island, I'm from Queens. Like I know that kind of mentality that comes from there, but like you can see, like he started kind of like as a centrist, but then he kind of started turning to the right, and then kept going, and he started making more money, and that's what it is. It's just like it's
where his laughs came from.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's where his laughs came from, and so he's going to lean into that as much as possible because that's where his revenue stream comes from, and it works. I mean, if all your money was coming from books, are you going to start writing movies? No, you're going to keep writing books, right? Yeah. No, if your money's coming from the right, then you're going to lean into that, and you're going to try to make that as much of your act as possible.
Yeah,
and who knows when it becomes like authentic, right? Is it authentic, or is it like enforced by how much money they're making, how much clicks they're getting, their followers they're getting, like, and then how long of that unauthentic does it become real? They're like, oh, I guess I must be right. Like there's this many people, Yeah,
it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, or not that specifically, but self-reinforcing. Yeah, the ideas that are being espoused there.
Well, and there's another good example. Like I'll take Larry the Cable Guy is a good example of this. Like he's received backlash recently because a big part of his base have just found out that it's a shtick. And for those of you
that he's not actually the Larry the Cable Guy, like that he's super educated and really intelligent, and that's not the way he actually speaks. Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
And spoiler alert for those of you that didn't know this, his name isn't even Larry. His name is Dan Whitney, and he was. For years, he was a failed comedian. I've listened to takes of his old stand-up routine, and it is awful. But the moment he put a Southern accent on, dumbed it down, and just leaned into the stupid, people ate it up. And the thing is he had to lean into it. Now, he was already kind of conservative too.
Well, you know where that character started?
How?
No.
So he used to call into a radio show. And he would do multiple different characters, right? Like so all these fake like call-ins to like any morning zoo show hires comics to like do their jokes
all the time. That's how like Adam Carolla started out.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's how Dan, Larry the Cable Guy, started down in, I think, Florida. And this was the one character that was a hit. And he was like, I guess I got to roll with it. Again, like the right turn for a lot of these podcasts.
Yeah.
You know, you go with what works.
Well, and that's the thing. There's a market for it, but the problem is that mindset, it is a vocal minority. They represent about 30% of the population in this country, but they are united. And that's one thing we were talking about before we started or hit record on this today is, you know, how the left doesn't really have unity. And there's an interesting truth to that, because the one thing the right is absolutely, if nothing else, they are united. They are united in hatred and fear, but they are united. They will join in a cause. And the moment that somebody that's a centrist can tap into that, especially if they pull out that bullshit, I'm being censored thing, people will mobilize for that. People will laugh at shit that isn't funny just so they can say they're sticking it to the left. Like,
you're also seeing it like happen with non-comics and stuff. Like Jimmy Dore is starting to make that shift.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
We've made Dore. Yeah, I've made. We're actually going to do a topic on pseudo leftists, and he's one of the main. Him and Vosh and a couple others are going to be a part of this, because it's like there's this idea that they start out with that's pretty good, and they start getting a following. And what I hate about Jimmy Dore is he's basically Trump for the left. There's no intelligence. There's no rationality. I'm just going to tap into the anger of the left and spew whatever bullshit I can think of. And here's the thing, like his big claim to fame was, and again, I'll say this rightfully, going after AOC and the Squad for not stepping up and doing what they needed to do. Mm-hmm. And he was right in that. Any progressive will say that. They're not acting like progressives. They're acting like liberals.
Yep.
But as soon as he got that, he started interviewing fucking Boogaloo Boys and like people, no one, like you go back and he's like a conspiracy theory nut job. Like he's psycho. He believes in all this nonsense and he just peddles this out there. And the thing is the people that are into him, it is the same cult-like devotion that the Trumpers have. They will not hear anything against him. Like nothing. You cannot point out anything. They will excuse it to the day is long. At the whole time, never realizing that they have fallen into the same trap that the Trumpers have. And it's like it's this weird dichotomy, because like you at one time you're sitting here criticizing this group of people for following this demagogue, and then you turn around and do the exact same thing just because this demagogue agrees with what you say or you agree with what he says. And it's just sorry, we went on a tangent there, but fuck, I hate Jimmy Dore.
It's true. It's the same thing though. Like you could say it about all of them. So I'm 26. I started listening to Joe Rogan when I was like 14, right? Pivotal time in your life. Better? No, this is when he was actually good though. Like when back in the day when he first started, it was just comics.
Yeah. No, you're right. It was just him and a bunch of comics sitting around bullshitting about comedy.
Yeah, with fleshlights on the table. They were sponsored by
just just like having fun. They were just fucking around talking about whatever.
Just telling dick jokes and having a good time.
Yeah,
and that's what I wanted to hear. And I've transitioned to more comedy podcasts. Like I haven't listened to Joe Rogan in years. Every once in a while, I'll check in when he has like an interesting guest, and like you want to hear some of the takes. But I can't sit. I can't sit through a 3-hour fucking podcast. Like that's like it's just too much. I have too much time. Like I got too much things to do to sit and listen to a 3-hour podcast and get angry.
Yeah.
This is what you have to give to Joe. So like Joe Rogan, he had a couple of things, but one of the big things that got him out there was that viral YouTube clip of him going after Carlos Mencia. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing. I agree with that. If your whole basis for your comedic rise is because you ripped off jokes of other people trying to come up, you should be called out for that. And rightly so. And Joe Rogan is a good interviewer. Like that's the other thing too. It's like, I don't agree with Joe Rogan. And I think he's a fucking twat waffle of the nth level degree, but he can interview someone. And I think there's a lot of people in the center and liberals too, like liberals, centrists, libertarians. There's this demand for people to just get along. Why can't we all just get along? That's what people want. They want this. And so if you've got some fucking bootlicking piece of shit like Ben Shapiro that comes on and you can interview him and it's like and you can sit there and be like, well, I don't agree with you, but I'll respect your right to say what you believe. It's that mentality, never realizing that what you're doing is empowering fascists to have a platform and speak about the most atrocious ideas possible. And that's why I hate Joe Rogan. And not only that, but he himself is kind of into a lot of this suicide. I mean, the guy still doesn't really believe in the moon landing, for crying out loud. Like he's made this weird pivot to where it's like he's kind of saying that he agrees with it, but not really. But it's like he still to this day thinks that the moon landing is fake, and this is the kind of thing that you're putting up there. And it's like, and it doesn't do any service when you've got like him being prescribed ivermectin, and then the news just plays into him and says, "Well, he's taking a horse medication," and it's like. No, he's not. He's taking a medication that doesn't do shit for COVID, and it was prescribed by a doctor. And yes, there are similar dosages that are given to horses, and people have taken the horse medication, but it's like they've played into it. And now he's riding that on its coattails to say the press is just full of shit. Listen to me, you know.
And then he did get sick and got monoclonal antibodies.
Yeah,
exactly. The first thing he did is turn around just like every other person like him. Whenever they talk a big fucking game up until the time that they get sick, and then all of a sudden all of the science works for them, but they never say shit about it.
Yeah. Why do you talk so much shit about vaccines, but right away you get monoclonal antibodies? Like, I couldn't even pronounce that for a while. Like you know, and you're not even going to question that one. You're like, yeah, just give me. Plus, again, back to Joe, like he's been on steroids and like publicly for years.
Years. Well, it's just, here's the thing. He's one of the main people promoting this idea of, well, we don't know what's in it. And I'm for anybody that doesn't want to put something in their body they're not familiar with. Okay, Joe, tell me what the fuck was in that cocktail you got to cure you of fucking COVID. I want you to give me a list of everything in there and what it does. I bet you don't know shit, but he was okay taking it, wasn't he?
Yeah. I have a bottle of Alpha Brain. I don't know what the fuck that's in. Someone gave me like a gift, and I'm like, yeah, dude, like this is like the epitome of like the stupidity of the whole situation. Is that he sells vitamins, like not FDA approved vitamins.
Yeah, right. That's the thing.
That's because vitamins don't need to be approved by the FDA.
Yeah. They don't. I say they work.
Yeah,
because they're supplements. Actually, they're not even vitamins. They're dietary supplements.
Yeah.
They have to be worded very specifically.
Joe Rogan is the male Gwyneth Paltrow. He's peddling a bunch of nonsense. Like, I guarantee you within the next 5 years, that guy's going to sell something that goes up your ass. I guarantee you it's going to happen.
It's a new workout thing, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's revolutionary.
Not even that. It's going to be a post-workout douche or something like that. It's like, squirt this up your ass and all your pain will be gone.
Well, no, it just cleans you out from all the protein that you're eating from that website too. Just you haven't shit in 6 months. Here, take this.
There you go.
The fake moon landing is what gives me hope for him, though. Like,
why? Why does that give you hope?
Because he still has the original Joe in him. Right? Maybe he'll go back to fleshlights and DMT and mushrooms.
I doubt it.
I doubt it. There's no money in it.
It's not even about the money. He's got so much money it doesn't fucking matter. I think it for him is more about his own ego, that idea that he has to be the center of attention. Like, I'm sorry, I hate to say it, no offense to you at all, but people that become comedians don't do it because they want to be in the corner and not notice. They do it because they want the attention. Right?
Oh, I got high off the stage. Like, but
that's what I'm saying. It's like
I was like, oh, this is what I want.
This is the stuff, right?
It's like the best. I got off the stage and I looked at I was like, this is the best drug I've ever taken. Yeah. And it was just all attention. And I loved it. Yeah, but it's like it's a weird a type of attention. Like people who go into comedy don't want that. Like it's like a weird traumatic want of the attention. It's like acknowledgement of like validation of your trauma. I think that's what it is.
Well, I think there was, I forget who said it, but I've heard this repeated by several comedians that broken people make the best comedians. You know?
Oh God, yes.
It's why you get people referencing things like
Robin Williams.
Thank you, Robin Williams. Whoa,
Robin Williams
was a bad one.
Arguably one of the best comedians ever. But there's people like George Carlin. Carlin was ridiculously smart
Yeah.
and continued to perform well into his old age.
You might not like my take on Carlin.
Why is that?
Because
do you not like Carlin?
I love early Carlin.
Okay.
Like 70s, 80s, but once he got involved with the IRS shit and started mass producing his content, it got real bad.
I can respect your opinion.
Carlin's one of the people that started this whole "you can't say anything anymore" bullshit.
Yeah.
Like that started with him. Like, I'm not saying Carlin wasn't funny, and I'm not saying Carlin didn't have
brilliant.
He's
a very genius comic.
But like all comics, he's not perfect. He's not God. He's not the epitome.
I didn't say that.
I'm not saying you did. I'm saying this just as a general statement because there are so many people out there that will point, like libertarians especially, love Carlin. They think they'll just jerk off to his specials, you know. But yeah, he's the one that kind of started this idea of you can't say anything. And here's the thing. I'm not saying there aren't crazy ass people that claim to be leftists that will try to shut down somebody out there. I mean, there's that meme of that triggered feminist chick with the glasses, like that goes around, and there's that.
Net?
Yeah, there you go.
Oh,
there's elements. There's elements like that everywhere, and the right, of course, will latch onto it as if it represents the entirety of the left, but it doesn't. No. Not even by a little bit.
The left doesn't like solidify the entirety of the left. Like when you just say the left, like that means nothing. That's what I hate. Like when I see just like people that I know on Twitter or like just the media being like, well, or just again, like podcast media, just like the left is shutting us down. Like, bitch, like who? The left is busy fighting each other. They don't care about you. Like,
well, that's part of why we started this. I mean, all three of us are on the left. Chris is a communist, like
he is full-blown card-carrying commie.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong about carrying cards. I got a DSA card.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is I'm much more progressive than super hardcore leftist. Yes. Although all the time I am marching my happy ass further and further, Matt is somewhere in between.
And I mean, we've derailed entire podcasts to have an argument on stuff. I mean, there was one a while back
about stuff that just the minutia is like insane. But the thing is that we need to continue to have those conversations, because if we don't, then we don't understand anyone or anything.
Yeah, but we need to like these conversations are important, especially on the left, because their ideologies are so fucking vast.
Yeah.
But like at the end of the day, what's our goals? We all want healthcare. We all want like adequate housing. Like we need to like start like moving on those situations. And just to like throw my political ideologies, the way I describe it is Demsock in the streets and Calm in the sheets.
I love that. Oh, you and Chris would get along. Oh, no, that's solid. But the minutia is kind of where we get tripped up, right? Because like, ask any leftist, most would say that they're pro-choice. Most would say they want universal health care. Most would say that they want to tax the rich. But when you get in the minutia, that's where you start getting these weird divides and things like that, because you also have that liberal mentality. Now, most liberals will call themselves leftists. I would disagree. I think most liberals are centrists,
Yeah.
However, most of them will claim to be pro-choice or pro-choice, but then they'll start making statements like, well, yeah, but I want to but I don't want to, I don't want to kill babies and things like that. They'll start adopting these weird lines from the right as if that has any influence on this. You know what I mean? They'll say like, yeah, I want to tax the rich, okay, well, that might mean people that are in a tax bracket just above you get more taxes. Well, I might have that tax bracket someday. So no, I don't want to do that. Can't do that. It's what that idea of like, nobody in America is poor. They're all just temporarily embarrassed millionaires,
Yep. I hate that mentality too, because it just it's that hyper individualism, right? Yeah. It's that American, like, you gotta be better than your neighbor kind of shit. Like, why? Like, why can't we, like, we literally live in a society. Like, isn't that a meme? Like we live in a society. Can't we all get along and all that shit? Like, isn't that what everybody wants? Like, but they also, like, liberals and like the right push that competition. Again, you can't be considered a leftist if you're pro-capitalist. Like, you're pro-capitalism. That's it. Like that, and that's what I like. That's pretty much my definition of it. Yeah. And like liberals are all pro-capitalist. Like,
yeah.
Like it's You can't really change from stuff from like the inside. You can see like AOC molded into something that's like a kind of weird neoliberal type progressive. It's a weird.
I mean, she's doing the best she can, but
again,
but ultimately, like, it's still kind of ineffectual. No, the thing is unfortunately, you can always be doing more. The thing is that, like, how much can you actually do? If you push so hard for so long for all of these things, you literally will get nothing done. And so, unfortunately, they make compromises in, well, okay, I'm going to get this thing done. And then I'm going to start working on this other thing. Because if I work on all the things, then nothing will ever get done. And I think that that's how they start to feel, even though that's how they initially see and want their actions to actually happen, is they want to fix everything. But it's just not possible.
It's also how many of them are in Congress. I think it's like 13 now. Or something considered progressive.
Yeah. See, but here's and I've said this before. They had the power to completely derail Biden's plan. They didn't. They negotiated. They caved, and nothing got passed because of Manchin. And we said that was going to happen to begin with, and that was the point. If it was going to be
purpose,
but again, it's all by
there's
design.
Only 13 of them. They can only do really so much. But like my takes on AOC and like Jamal Bowman is like the Iron Dome shit. It's all theatrical. Like, if you're really going to put your money where your mouth is, like, that's the kind of shit you need to do. Like, I get it. The Green New Deal is hard to pass. When I was arguing with my friend, he's a Navy guy. He's in like ensign in the Navy. Loved Joe Biden right before he was about to go in, and we would argue all the time. He's like, Joe Biden's going to be the most progressive candidate ever. I was like, dude, I'm like, you can't negotiate with the far right from the center because you're only going to wind up on the right. Like it's always going to be like that. And I go, that's going to push the center further right every single time. And I go, and that's what's going to happen. And look, it's not, it hasn't even been a fucking year. And it's already been like that.
Yeah. How's that student loan forgiveness going for you? How about those $2,000 checks, everyone?
I'm still waiting for my check. I don't know about you.
Yeah. Again, think about this. I want this out there again. Donald fucking Trump gave the American public more money than Joe Biden has.
Which is why, like if it doesn't say we bend over backwards and lick the boot of corporatism in this country, I don't know what it does. Because even like that's Trump's legacy. Like when Candace Owens was trying to get him to shit on the vaccine, like, yo, his legacy is $2,000. And he got the vaccine out. Why would he ever shit on that? Yeah. Like literally the best thing. So the best thing for Obama was Trump's like they all these guys give about is their legacy. Best thing for Obama was Trump. The best thing for Trump was Biden. Like because in history now, Trump's gonna look a lot better than he actually was because Biden's garbage. Yep. And it's just again, it's like a Reagan-esque kind of president, not as successful for like the puppet that he is because they're not really getting anything done for what they're pissing everybody off by doing what they're doing, except like 6 people who are making a shitload of money. But like,
you noticed, huh?
Yeah. I wish I was one of them. I'd be fucking happy as shit. But like, right now I'm part of the group of people that quit their jobs in October to pursue something better because like we were just getting shafted by COVID, by the government, by everything. So I'm like, fuck this, and to try and take control and like you just watch it and like Biden and like Kamala Harris comes out and complains every once in a while, like she's not doing jack shit. Like they're not doing jack shit. It's all performance, and like it's so fucking obvious now because of COVID, and like nobody gives a shit. Yeah, like even the 5-day CDC thing, they're like, just get back to work. Fuck you. Like,
work or die, bitches. Work or die. Work and die. You get both.
You guys are Pacific, right? So I don't know if you saw what the new fucking mayor of New York said, Eric Adams.
No.
We can't shut down the economy because messengers, delivery people that work at Dunkin' Donuts, they don't have the education or the academic chops to work in a corner office.
What?
Like, are you? Yeah. This motherfucker got so gaudy too. Got inaugurated on New Year's Day right after the ball dropped. Like it was disgusting. Thank God the New York City mayor is just a stop sign for political careers.
What a total piece of shit.
It was disgusting.
They don't
As he's
have
wearing,
the
like-
educational chops to work in corner offices.
Yeah, I'll pull up the actual quote because I was like, this is like a classist pig like statement. Here you go. Eric Adams said, low skill workers like cooks, messengers, and Dunkin' Donuts employees don't have the academic skills to sit in a corner office. Like most of those people have college degrees now and can't get jobs because of people like you. Like,
yeah. Well, remember the 2008 collapse? The reason that the Fight for 15 gained any traction at all is because suddenly working class office stiffs didn't have jobs anymore and had to go work at fucking Burger King. And you know what they fucking learned? It's goddamn hard fucking work. And they deserve to be paid. And that's where that shit started finally getting traction. And then the economy started doing better and some of them started getting back in their office. And suddenly it was like, nah, fuck the burger flippers again. And that no class consciousness whatsoever.
It goes back to American individualism. It's like, why does he make the same money as me? We're doing like he's flipping burgers. Like, yo, why aren't you making more money? Like, why don't you ask that question? Why are you making him your enemy? Why are you making your fucking boss your enemy? Who's keeping you down? Who's pointing at the guy that's taking your cookies? Like, no, it's just all wrong.
Yeah. The office dude working in the mailroom is trying to fight for an extra $1.50 an hour, but he's a greedy bastard because you need to make the same amount of or more money than he does. And if he gets that, then he'll be making the same as you, and you work in a fucking office. Meanwhile, your CEO is just giving himself another 500% raise, and you're yelling at the guy down below you. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you people?
Who works 1,000 times harder? Like, people that work at McDonald's work the full 8 hours on their feet. Right. Yeah. Where like, and I used to work at C-SPAN. So my job path has been very weird. So I went from C-SPAN college degree to janitor in the city in New York. Right. Like, so that's why I get I'm like disgusted by these comments. I'm like, I have a fucking college degree. I did pretty well in college. I did like some prestigious shit in college. And I got unfortunately shafted by the system and I had to take the job I had. And you know what? Like, it sucked, but it was money and it was benefits. But dude, like fucking, me and the other guy were scrubbing toilets, both the college degrees. He was on his way to getting a master's degree in education. Like, are you fucking serious? Like you're gonna tell this guy he doesn't have the educational chops to work in an office?
Yeah, I have a master's degree in business. Would you like fries with that?
Yeah, really. That was the most. What was it, Ant-Man? He's like, I have like a bio degree, and he was like, yeah, would you like fries? That was the exact scene. Like, if that's not the most spitting image of what America is right now, and there's just the blind class, like no class solidarity behind it is disgusting.
I'm sorry, if you are over 50 years old in this country, it is a solid bet that you have no idea what's really going on in this world or what the reality of the world is. You just don't. You know, the older you get, the more blind you are to it. But also, like you were saying, the left is so busy fighting itself that, I mean, we outnumber all the boomers something like 2-1.
I hate to say it, but the older generation, so Gen X, boomers, that generation is like the least traveled generation of people ever. Older millennials like myself and Matt here, we are also part of that kind of poorly traveled generation of people. Younger people are traveling in amounts that we could never have. And if you are a traveled individual and you've been around the world, you will see that America is not the only one that has freedom, that America is actually a country that has, some of the worst conditions in the first world countries in this world, and that things need to change.
Not that hard. You don't even need to travel to do it. Like, spend a day on Google and you can find out some amazing shit about your own damn country. The stats and numbers are out there, man. Like, it's not that hard.
It's funny, as you said, because I'm literally looking up, like, trying to find, I'm just trying to wrap it back up to what we were talking about before.
Yeah, sorry.
What 71% of Joe Rogan's listeners are male, and like, how much is that is high, like older millennials, younger boomers? No, like I don't know what I am.
Just what the.
Like, so I think I'm a Zoomer, millennial, borderline kind of thing. I have no fucking idea.
It gets weird. There's a lot of overlap with them. Like,
you would be like young millennial, old Gen Z.
I don't get it. But like these kinds, like when you see these kinds of like labels on stuff, you can see the breakdown of like who consumes what media by that generational breakdown.
Oh yeah,
it's very, very interesting. Yeah. Like, and I always thought that was like when I was out there doing stand up. Like you typically some of the youngest on stage when I wasn't doing open mics is kind of just like a free for all. But when I was doing actual shows, it was like people in their mid 30s and they're like, oh, what do you want to do? Like, is this comedy like your thing? I was like, I don't know. And this was like middle of Trump, right? So I had kind of hope for 2020's election, stupid enough. And I was like, I'm thinking about going back to school, get my master's for foreign policy and joining the State Department. And I'm like, thank God I didn't do that because I'd be a fucking like just a deep state asshole. They're like, wow, holy shit. Talk about that on stage. I'm like, but that's like, it's not really. It's
nobody wants to hear that.
Funny. Exactly. Like that's why
I don't know. You just described it pretty funny to me, man.
But like you're into that though. Like, the right wing, most of like the right wing, like they don't want to hear like the Joe Rogan podcast is like easy listening of podcasts. Like there's no real pushback on it. So like my best jokes are don't try on your girlfriend's bra, especially if you're a fat guy, because it's either gonna fit or it's not gonna fit, and you don't want it to fucking fit. Like
either one is not
either
good.
way, yeah.
They're not good. Neither of them is a good situation. And then my ADHD doesn't allow me to have threesomes. Like these are my two best jokes. Like nobody, like they don't want to hear about my take on foreign policy. Like they don't want to hear that.
Yeah,
But like when they agree with like the mask shit, and you can get simple fucking like make stupid noises by just pretending to put on masks. You're just kind of stoking that fire of anger. It's not real comedy. It's just fucking like it's hack. That's what it is. There can be so much. But my favorite podcast is Come Town. Like it's an awful vulgar show. It's pretty racist. It's like everything is wrong with it. But like these guys are just having a good time. And like at the end of the day, they're not really fucking pieces of shit. They're actually like two of the members are DSA members. Like they're trying to do the right thing, but like they're just being funny, and it's just totally shut off. They don't give a fuck. They make fun of everybody and anything. Like, and it's just
and that's why I said that
what I relate to.
A joke can be about something like that and still be funny.
Yeah,
like
hurtful.
You were saying, and just exactly.
Well, a good example, like John Mulaney has a bit about his wife being a bitch. Like there's a whole bit where it's like the whole thing is just leading up to him calling his wife a bitch. And it's awful and grotesque and it's funny as shit and it works because it's done in a good way.
And it's relatable.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff's really like everyone's going to argue with their wife. Like it's just a fact of life and fact of relationships. You're going to argue with your wife. You're going to think she's a bitch every once in a while. Like everyone's going to argue with their significant other. It's just what happens. And that's why it's so relatable. And like that's why these like right wing, I guess these pseudo right wing, these grifters per se, like for the lack of a better term, like they're turning on the faucets and they're just collecting the money.
Yeah. I honestly, I'll go out there. I'll say I think Joe Rogan is absolutely right wing. One who I think walks the line and walks it in the most ridiculously stupid way I've ever seen is Bill Burr. Because Bill Burr. Here's the thing. So here's the thing. Bill Burr will do an incredibly racist, fucked up joke, but then call out white women for not supporting the black community. You know what I mean? It's this weird line where he keeps jumping back and forth. And again, I agree because I'm with you. There's a lot of stuff he says that I do agree with, but then I'll catch him doing that shit. And all of a sudden I'm just like, oh, fuck, Bill. Really? Really?
But I think he can get away with that stuff because, like, at the end of the day, like I said, like you can make all these jokes as long as you're doing the right thing. And he's got a black wife and a black child. He can't be like this horrific racist person if his family's. He's the only white person in his family. Like really, like. Bill Burr too. He's not even white. He's like extra white. He's like shiny and fucking.
He's fucking Irish Boston white, is what Bill Burr.
Yeah, really. Like,
dude's so white he's almost fucking clear. Let's just get it out there.
But like, it's a generational thing for him as well, because he also pushes back on Joe Rogan, which not many people do, and he's one of the few people who is in a position of power to do that. Do you guys watch Hassan Piker?
Sometimes, I'm familiar with him, but I know who you're talking about, yeah.
He showed a clip. He loves Joe Rogan. Again, like he's around my age, grew up watching the Fleshlight Joe Rogan era, and like huge pivotal, like learned so much about comedy, learned so much about like just like random fucking stupid shit, aliens and all this stuff. And now like you have what he's become, and like he's got great takes on what he's become because it's just like an echo chamber. Like once you get onto the Joe Rogan show, like dude, you fucking made it because like it's 3 million people, they listen daily.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic opportunity. He's got more viewers than mainstream media. Right, Brandon Schwab, former UFC fighter, was like the supercut of him talking to Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan's like, it's crazy, and Brandon Schwab was like, it's the craziest, man. It's literally like just echoing like a parrot. Like he was like, dude, this is the wildest industry. Brandon Schwab just goes,
it's so wild.
The industry is just wild. I can't believe it. It's like, it's insane. It goes on for 10 minutes. And that's what it is. Like a lot of it's because he's so big and powerful that like just having your access onto the show boost your influence, your click, your everything.
If you get on his show, you have made it.
Yeah, no, easily.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you guys are familiar with Shane Gillis and that whole thing, but he was a SNL comedian. He got fired for doing like Asian accents and like Asian like stereotypical jokes on his podcast. But like the reason why it was so bad is because he got hired the same time they hired their first Asian cast member in SNL.
Oh, Jesus.
So it was just a horrible optic thing. And he said like the New York comedy scene rallied around him, which was like, yeah, he made poor taste in jokes. He shouldn't lose like the SNL opportunity, but the optics behind it were really bad. So like the New York comedy scene rallied around him, made sure he didn't fucking like go broke.
Yeah.
Which is good because he's a great comedian. I think he's a very good comedian. But his whole thing was like, fuck it, I'll just go on Rogan. And it took him 2 years from that situation to get on Rogan. And it was like, oh, I guess this is not that easy. It's like you can't just say it and it'll happen.
Yeah.
So like the way he picks and chooses these people to come on is also suspect too. But then he has like Bernie Sanders on and you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
It's very confusing.
Thing is like he's smart. Like, and I'm sure he's got people working for him that are just as smart that know he wants to play that. He'll have the Bernie Sanders and then the Candace Owens, and then he'll have the Neil deGrasse Tyson, and then he'll have some fucking out there conspiracy theory tinfoil hat nut job, and he'll bounce around and do that, and it'll just be it's that. And this is what I hate the most about Joe Rogan.
It's begging the question.
I'm just asking questions.
He's just begging the question.
What's that? There was like a 4chan meme where he's like the con, like an old con, just traveling through the world on his horse. He's like, tell me why fires like a sky fire come over mountain. It's just so stupid, but that's what he's become. He's just become like this like chimpanzee man that like, tell me more.
Yeah.
And like, so, like it's just so much. Like I said, bring back Fleshlight Joe Rogan, man. Like I haven't heard Joey Diaz's voice on that podcast in years.
Yeah.
And like that's what he was, like Burt Kreischer, Tom Segura, just bring back the boys. Like
Burt Kreischer is hilarious, by the way.
The best episodes that they have are the Sober October when he brings back Ari Shaffir, who's a controversial comedian in his own right, but he's great. Ari Shaffir, Burt Kreischer, Tom Segura, and him. That's the fucking core four. That's when you're making good content, and that's because like that's the authentic him, and like that I truly believe. And I could be fucking wrong. I don't know, I'm from a hole in the wall, but like,
I mean, and I think that could also be true, but it could also be that guy is gone now.
Could be, yeah. $100 million from Spotify could change a lot of things,
right? $100 million contract. I could not fucking believe it when they gave him that.
And without saying any names, I've heard from some people like, so I work at a podcast studio. I run a podcast studio for my job. So I've heard some insider shit about these contracts, and they're like just as bad as the music industry contracts with podcasts. So
are they?
Like, yeah, they're like completely take over shit. It's not good.
Did
like,
he forget to get a lawyer before he signed it?
Yeah, I don't want to get into too much details. They're young dudes. Like, if it was me too, I'd be like, fuck yeah, hell yeah,
$1 million, sign me up.
And it wasn't even that much money, but like the amount of money that he said he was getting was fucking significant. So it's like it's pretty interesting to see that, and to see like Joe Rogan get a probably completely opposite deal, right? What they take down the Alex Jones episode.
Oh yeah,
big deal, right? You still have 2,000 other episodes on there. You're still making more money than most other people on this platform, and your contract's probably not fucking strangleholding you into this contract for however long they want you.
Yeah.
Well, and he could afford a lawyer to get himself out of the contract if he wanted to.
100%.
Well, and that's just it. He was already big before Spotify. The reason he got Spotify is because he was big. Whereas most people are just hoping to get a Spotify contract.
They
so
just
Spotify
wanted
can do whatever the fuck they want with them, and it just adds to their content base,
Yep. And it's and now their whole thing with Anchor too. So they just bought out Anchor.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's what you guys use, but like that, like when I heard that, I was like, that's kind of sketch. I'm like, they want to just keep a stranglehold in this network, this podcast industry. It's still brand new. It's still very brand new. It's kind of like the .com bubble.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, and who got involved with the .com bubble very early? Right, like right-wing dudes, like dudes with some good money, conservative dudes, and that's what comes in through my studio. Again, like I'm not gonna say too much names. It's mostly finance bros. Like I'm working with finance people. NFTs I hear a lot about.
Oh God.
Yeah, and I'm just sitting there like I just got my headphones on. They're like, oh, what podcast do you listen to? I was like, Chapo Trap House. You should check it out. Never saw them again.
Well, and this is why I've said this before. I'll say it again. Joe Rogan is simultaneously the best and worst thing that's ever happened to podcasting, because by virtue of his success, he has kind of blown up the medium, right? Like it was there, and there were people.
He definitely changed the medium. He did.
Like there were plenty of people that have been doing this forever. Like Kevin Smith was one of the first people in the podcasting game.
He was the first one, like Smodcast and stuff. Like he like should be getting all the credit for Joe Rogan's shit. It's Kevin Smith.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. But now Joe Rogan's blown up, and everyone looks at Joe Rogan, and they are convinced that that's what a podcast needs to be. They are all trying to mimic Joe Rogan. And the thing is there are millions of podcasts out there. Most of them flame out by episode 10 because most people think that all they have to do is get a mic in front of them, talk at a camera, and they're done. You know, very few people have, and they think they're going to have the success right off the bat. And it's like, we've been doing this for over a year. We've got a good listener base. We're about 200 people solid right now.
Great.
With like maybe 100 per week that are listening actively, you know,
for a political podcast.
Yeah.
A leftist political podcast, which is probably the hardest market.
Yeah, because you're anti-capitalist. So they're not going to promote anti-capitalist
shit.
Absolutely.
Like that's why it's so hard to get into the mainstream. Like the reason why Hassan is so popular is he's 6'4" and he's hot. Like, just look at the guy. You can say it, and he's like talking about free healthcare and free college. Like, no shit, people are gonna flock to this guy. That's the only reason why I think he's so popular. Plus, he's got great takes, some not so great takes, but
I actually do think we talked about him recently because there was a bit of, he got into some like hot water from his fans because I guess he bought like a $3 million home recently.
Yeah, that's so stupid too. He lives in West Hollywood. That's like, I live in Queens. A fucking regular ass house is $1 million. Like, there's no space in between. There's no yards. I smell
it's true. Like,
3 houses down. Like, people don't understand. Especially Twitch is a young audience. They don't understand how much a house costs.
The average home here in Southern California is like $750,000, and that's a tiny little house.
Yeah,
you know, we're not talking 200. 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 square feet homes. We're talking like 1,500 square foot home, which if anybody knows, that's like 3 bedrooms and like 2 bathrooms and a kitchen, right? Like this is not a big place.
No, yeah, like it's wild. But like he got a nice place, but it's like West Hollywood, like for $3 million.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
No, not even. He got a bargain. He's got like 4 bedrooms and stuff. I'm like, what is wrong with that house?
But for West Hollywood, that sounds about right. $3 million for the house, sure.
Yeah, like that's what like people got so upset. Like socialism when you can't buy a house. Like, no, motherfucker. Like that's how much houses cost. You should be mad that houses cost that much. Like, not that he bought a house.
Yeah, you should be pissed that house didn't cost $500,000.
Yeah, well, it becomes it's the debate of like, you know, most people that I engage with, when you talk to them, it's like, we don't like billionaire classes. We have problems with millionaires, but billionaires should not exist. That's the main focus. But Hassan's not even that. He is like, he donates shit tons to charity. Like actually, I took the
stream.
Yeah. Well, I took the con side of this. I think I was getting in a debate with Chris about this, is because I was kind of like, well, that's kind of shitty at first. And then I was like, no, you got a point. Like, he's really not going all that extravagant. The dude bought himself a house. And we talked about it. If we ever won the lottery, I'd buy a block here where I live for houses for everybody and my family and friends. You know?
But like, who lives in his house? He bought the house
for his family.
His mom, his dad, his brother, like who's a NASA engineer, works in the garage. Like he's got a stream room. But he needs to be a luxury with a streamer at the stream room. He makes fucking thousands of dollars. Let him have a streamer.
That's what he does for a living, first of all.
Let him have his office. Exactly.
Secondly, just because you bought a $3 million home, he didn't pay cash for the house.
No, he's got to pay that off for 30 years. That's a long ass time to be living in one place.
Yeah, nobody pays $3 million for a house cash. Like, it just doesn't happen.
Here's a briefcase of my Twitch Prime money. It's not how that works. But like that outrage came from just like the demographic of his audience. It's very young. Twitch is a young audience.
They just don't understand.
Exactly. Yeah, they're still learning about
eventually.
They will eventually.
These viewpoints and exactly what it means. And again, I get the outrage at first, but you got to think about this. Like, nobody is suffering and dying because Hassan bought himself a $3 million home.
No.
Millions are suffering because Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos are hoarding wealth.
But Hassan owns one home and he filled it up with his family, right? Yeah. These people are buying up homes and filling them up with nobody, and driving up prices.
Zillow was buying homes in mass just to resell them. Like, Zillow was doing that recently. They were buying up homes for well over asking cash offers on these houses that were contributing to just rising up prices.
Yep.
With the hopes they could sell. And they screwed themselves over. They had to bail out of doing it. But still, that's a problem. Hassan is not causing the problem. Companies like Zillow, people like Elon Musk, those are where, if you want to get into, if you're focusing on socialism, that's where your focus needs to be. Not on Hassan, who's donating to charity, buying a home for his family, and supporting himself. Like, come on.
He donated like 10. He doesn't like to, he says it all the time. I don't like to donate on stream because people get upset. He goes, but then I don't like to donate off stream because people get upset. He goes, so I'm doing both of them. Fuck you. He's like, he donated 10 grand to like bail funds during the George Floyd protests. Live on stream, $10,000. That's nothing to scoff at. That's a lot of fucking money. Like, and
I sure as fuck couldn't do that.
Hey, yeah, no, dude. Like, I'm literally like my situation right now sucks. All for the sake of credibility and professionalism. I am making no money, and I'm just like, let me just get some pizza crust over here, please. like Hassan, give me some money. Let me get a room. That's why I'm upset. Just come on my podcast. Help me the fuck out. And it's hard to promote yourself as a leftist because you're not going to get promoted as an anti-capitalist, and that's
you just don't.
Well, because the thing is you like, liberals aren't anti-capitalists, centrists aren't anti-capitalists, right wingers. So like, again, you're now in another smaller majority, much less organized and fervent than the right wing is. And the thing is like, I think the ideas of progressives, socialists, democratic socialists, communists, those ideas are popular. They're gaining steam. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But the moment you call it socialism, communism, any of these things, you're done. The moment
everybody loses their mind.
The moment the word capitalism bad comes out, you're fucked. Because everyone wants socialism until they find out they can't have capitalism. And then it's suddenly like, fuck.
But they don't even realize what socialism is or like what capitalism is. Like, they just think it's like, I've been taught my whole life that like the Red Army bad.
The thing is everybody wants all of the tenets of socialism, but the second you call it socialism, they're fucking off.
Yeah.
They don't want it when you call it.
Yeah.
People also don't like to be told that they've been lied to their entire life and they believe bullshit. And like, you've just been spoon fed bullshit, and they're like, "No, fuck you. No, I haven't. I know what's going on."
Yeah,
like, no, you don't. Like, the State Department literally makes the historical like agenda, so you know what they want you to know. Like, read a fucking book from the other's perspective. You'll learn what happens. The treatment, like, I like third party perspectives, just a fucking overview of what happened. Like, oh shit.
Yeah,
and that's why you can't be a leftist comic. You know, how funny is it? This is the United States government went to South America and took over for bananas. Like, fuck you. Like, that's not funny. Like, that's like depressing as shit.
Well, that's the thing. Most people don't even know that happened. That's the thing.
Exactly.
It's like part of the audience has to be aware of the content that you're talking about in order to be on the joke. And so when they're already blind to it, you're absolutely right. Like, you can't, it's hard to do it.
They're going to talk about Banana Republics. They're like, what's so wrong about $100 shirts? Like, no. Like, we're talking about the real Banana Republics. People don't like being told oh, the shit that you know is all wrong, and everything that you believe is all wrong, and that's on purpose, and it's not your fault. And they're like, they just get, well, it's like a human conditioning thing. It's like,
it's cognitive dissonance.
It's
the belief that the thing that they've known their entire life has to be correct because they cannot imagine it not.
Yep.
And the second that they're faced with that, the truth that it is not correct, they cannot accept that it is not.
The funniest thing though is the same people that are like that and like, nah, like I believe what I know is true. They also don't trust the government. They're like, you can't get your vaccines. Like, yo, who do you think wrote the curriculum? Like, the fucking government did that, dude. Like you can't pick and choose. Like, be it one way. Like, you can't have fucking little bits of everything. Like, you got to be consistent across the board.
Yeah, well, it's the whole idea of the government is full of shit and wasteful spending, and they're all dumb and they don't know what they're doing. But all these conspiracies that require massive amounts of funding and money and intelligence, the government is
secrets and so many people that keep their mouths shut. Which one? If you're a white guy, straight white guy from the age of 21 to 47, you have a podcast. There are no secrets. So, like, I don't even know. Like, dude, something's leaking. Like Bob Lazar has been telling the same story for 25 years. Like, something's bound to come out. Like, even if it's bullshit, something's bound to fucking come out.
Yeah. It's gonna be out there. Like, it just. But you're right. It blows me away. Things just, it doesn't add up. But it's the same thing that Joe Rogan was doing. It's like you poke holes in the vaccine because it's popular and you want to do it, and you make these arguments like, well, I don't know what's in there, and so I don't want to take it. And it's like, oh, I got sick now. Okay, you're going to take this pill, this shot, this IV infusion. Okay, cool, doc, thanks. So you just got a cocktail of drugs that you don't even know how to pronounce fucking half of them. But on the other hand, you're going to turn around and tell people not to put stuff in their body when they don't know what it is. It's just like...
He's on testosterone replacement. He's probably taking Winstrol, which you need to get from sketchy Chinese websites. Like, they don't sell that anymore. Yeah. It's illegal in the States. Like, you can look at his stomach. Like, his stomach is gross. Like, you know, that's like not natural. And of course, like, he says it outright for years. I haven't listened to him for a while.
Nobody used to.
He made the turn to be like, oh no, this is all real. But like, yeah, he's like, bro, I'm 46 years old. Of course I'm on steroids. Of course I'm on testosterone. Like, he was so open about it like 5 years ago. Yeah. And like, now everyone seems to forget that. And because he's anti-vaccine,
because he stopped talking about it.
Bro, you're literally taking horse steroid. Antibiotic steroids are for horses. Like, that's a literal horse drug that you're taking.
Yeah.
And again, I got really upset with the left too, but the ivermectin thing. We can't be hypocrites. Yeah. We do ketamine, right? Yeah. That's a horse drug.
We do it for a totally different reason, though.
Yeah. But again, we do horse drugs. They do horse drugs. It's okay. Something's gotta go underneath the rug.
So here's the thing. I don't have a problem with somebody doing a horse tranquilizer. I have or a horse drug or any other animal thing. Do it. But don't get on your platform with millions of people listening and try to tell them that this stupid horse medicine is going to cure COVID-19 instead of the fucking vaccine. That's where the left should be focusing their anger. It's not that they took the drug. It's that he's helping promote the drug as an alternative to the thing that works.
It's 3 million people that are just like I said, it's easy listening to podcasting. Joe Rogan is like the quintessential epitome of his listeners. Like, none of them are going to question what's being said. Yeah. They're just going to be like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's cool. And then just go on to the next episode, which is like, is America where the aliens landed first? And like, oh, that's fucking cool. Like, like, you know, there's no pushback even from the audience, which is what you need. Like, you need to have accountability. Again, and that's my same thing with like AOC and stuff. Again, everybody needs accountability, and you can't have that if they have this like celebrity godlike status, which unfortunately is how this society in this country works. Yeah. Like, it's just the way people are jammed down your throat, and like the way it's just easy to make money to talk shit on these people. Oh yeah, we're talking shit on Joe Rogan, but like we have like legitimate like grievances about this stuff. Yeah. Like, other people are just like, Joe Rogan bad or Orange Man bad. Like, yo, say why. Yeah. Like, tell me the reasons why. I like, you can't just say they're bad and not expect anything to change. You have to like fucking like I criticize Joe Biden more than I criticize Trump, because I expected nothing from Trump. I expected a little bit more from Biden, but goddamn, like, this is pathetic. Like, like I'm like, where they're like, why are you always so outspoken about like liberals and Democrats and not Republicans? I'm like, because I don't know. I'm stupid. I still hope that these people will give me something, like a crumb. There's like a crumb of pussy. Like, please, just please something. Like nothing. No, they don't give me nothing.
Not a thing, man. And that because with Trump, there's not much you can keep saying. Like everything we said before Trump got elected about Trump came true. Like there was no mystery.
Oh, yeah.
We knew what was going to happen before
Absolutely.
he got elected. We knew what he was. We knew what he was going to do. Like there were no surprises with Trump. Like we criticized him all the way. Don't get me wrong. But the thing is Trump always fulfilled what we expected him to do. Trump, in fact, the only time he went beyond our expectations and did something we didn't expect was when he did something good. Like
he gave us money.
Yeah,
like, holy shit! Like what the fuck, Republican?
And what pisses me off is like I've grown out of believing Democrats are good. I've grown past that. But I think the U.S. left, and I include liberals in this just because most people will generally include liberals, but like there's this idea from them is that as long as it's the vote blue no matter who bullshit.
Yeah.
Without bothering to ever once think about the policies you're like vote blue no matter who got us Joe Biden, who I'm sorry is the most progressive president we got and is still a centrist corporate shill.
Yeah.
Like both of those statements are true. He is the most progressive president we've ever had, and he is a centrist corporate shill. And when center right corporate
contemporary president.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's been a lot more progressive people back in the day, like that would like they wouldn't even get fucking elected nowadays. They'd be like FDR would be considered a fucking communist. Like,
I mean, yeah, but he was also racist too. Like that's the thing. It's like.
But he fit in for the time. Like I again, like it's not excusable to be racist no matter like the time frame because they were good people, especially when they were slaves and shit. Like it was like John Brown freeing slaves like through violent revolution, which is like sometimes it's necessary. But like you can't that's just who it was. That was the ruling class at the time. But like even that he could still be racist now and have all those same policies and still not get elected and still be hated because he'd be a communist. Literally they're just like communist. Like Jimmy Carter put solar panels on the White House. Reagan took them right down. Down. Like this is not progressive. Like there was more progressive shit in the 70s. Like this is just all nonsense. Yeah. Like I to me, Biden's a Dixiecrat. Like
God, yeah, without a doubt. And but that's why it's never going to get better because he's all these things. The right paints him as a socialist. Their base buys into it. God, and so they rally and elect the next fascist dictator that comes along to replace him. And the left never learns their fucking lesson because they just want to return to normalcy. They just want brunch back. And so they vote for the centrist fucking boring ass Biden as if that's going to fix everything. And it's not. It's just going to keep things getting worse. All Biden did is stall till the next Trump.
It might be just Trump again in 2024.
Right.
Like at the way this is going. Who knows? Because he's being like I said, they don't want him to shit on his legacy of the vaccine. And he won't do that because like it's a good thing.
Yeah.
Like, wholeheartedly, the vaccine is a good thing. Came out under Trump, whatever. Like he did a good job on that. Like I'm not a fucking asshole. I can say he got it out in a meaningful time. He didn't have to sign that like authorization act or whatever. He didn't have to. He did it anyway. And they're like, don't you hate the vaccine? He's like, no, I'm boosted. He's like, you guys should get it. He's like, and like, but that might kill him. But that might also pick up these like weird fringe liberals, right? And I hate the return to normalcy bullshit because like what's normal for you is fucking hell for most other people.
That's exactly it. Normal is awful. Normal is minorities are dying. People are starving. People are losing their jobs. People are going broke and homeless. That's what normal was. Like, and that was true under Obama and Clinton too. It wasn't like this stuff suddenly appeared out of nowhere. This stuff has always been there, and it's just more obvious, and it's getting worse every single year. You know?
Whenever someone brings up Obama, like I like Obama, like as like a person, he's a good person. Again, I don't think the president really has too much control of what happens overseas, especially militarily. But like the Kunduz hospital thing, like you can't say that's fucking normal during a liberal presidency. Yeah. And guess what? That was swept under a rug. Trump just did that shit in public. He did not give a fuck. But Obama was doing the same exact things. Like, and that's my issue. It's like, yo, nothing is normal. Everything's fucked.
Yeah, drone strike civilians within the first 100 days of, first 100 days of Biden presidency. What did we get? Drone strikes on civilians. it just keeps happening. Like,
yeah, that's normal. Welcome back to normalcy. That's literally what I said when it happened.
We still have kids in cages, but now they're juvenile detention centers. And everyone's just like, oh, okay, cool. Now they're happy prisons for children.
Yeah, the whole kid in cages thing, like Obama built the cages. Like,
Right,
yeah, it's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
They're saying the right things. Like, yeah, of course.
Again, that was a good line from Trump when they were debating. Who built them, Joe?
Yeah. Like, and Trump, again, fucking piece of shit. But like, every once in a while, he hit the nail right in the head, and every once in a while, he could be a little funny. That's the problem with him. Like, he says the quiet things out loud, which, 9 times out of 10, bad. But every once in a while, he's like, "Who built the cages, Joe?" And they're like, "Oh, people are like, oh, fuck, who did do that?" Like, that's like a legitimate, like, wait a minute, huh? But
hey,
like,
man,
also, we're not murdering.
Yeah,
we're also not murdering like foreign officials overseas on a different country from where they're from, just like fucking publicly. Like, at least they did that quietly, which, again, bad doesn't start a fucking massive public outcry and war.
Yeah.
Oh, this has been great.
Yeah.
Getting real gritty at the end.
There we go. So basically what we're saying, folks, is this is all a lot like comedy.
Pretty much. Yeah. You need to be on the right to make any money.
Yeah. It's all one big fucking joke.
Welcome to capitalism.
Huzzah. But I think that's actually a good spot to end. Austin, thank you so much for being here, man.
Thank you guys. This was great, dude. I've had a great time.
Absolutely.
You don't have these conversations. Like the leftists that I know are so few and far between. That's why I joined SA. I'm like, I just don't have conversations like this with like like-minded people anymore. It's just like, because ever since I graduated college, it's like moved to back to New York City. It's just
it's hard to find people that are like-minded enough that and actually have an interest in it enough to actually have a conversation.
Like, I live in a liberal metropolis. Like, back to brunch is like the definition of New York City. Like, literally, as soon as Trump lost, it was like, fuck yeah, everyone was in the streets partying, and I'm just sitting here, and my poor little sister, I radicalized her at a young age. So like, we're sitting here.
Good for you.
With our hands, palms in our faces, just like, oh god, things are about to get a whole lot worse. Yeah, but thanks for having me, guys. Again, we're just blackpilling the audience as I go, just tossing that out there.
No, we're gonna keep it up.
I'm a lot funnier on stage, I promise. Like, my penis is huge in the metric system, all that kind of shit.
Well, why don't you go ahead and then plug your shit right now?
If you liked me, you can listen to my podcast called Can't Afford a Therapist. It's on all platforms. Austin Can't Afford on Twitch and Instagram. And my non-really existent Twitter is Austin J Piazza. If you give me a follow there, that'd be pretty cool, but I don't really use it. I bet you about the Giants on there mostly.
So to wrap it up, since we've been gone for a while, I don't have a whole lot of shout outs. There are a few things I've been coming through, but I'm going to save them probably for a later episode. We got a couple of polls coming out, so keep an eye out for that. But thank you everyone for joining us each week. Thank you, my good Reverend Dr. K. Thank you, Austin. Chris, I love you. Can't wait to see you back, buddy. And until next time, everyone, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and remember, kids, the revolution is you.